Welcome to Caseback Watches, my name is Tim, and in this episode I finally speak about the 50s. On my wrist you can find a 50s inspired chronograph made by the German manufacturer Vintro. And I will show you this, I will show you this watch in the second half of this video. But first let's discuss a little bit about the 50s as a period itself. Please note my evil villain, very 50s evil villain ascot. So, when I started to collect vintage watches, I started with Omegas from the 60s, and the problem is beautiful watches, and technology is high-end there for this period of time, of course, but very small. Watchmaker there were really proud if they could produce a small timepiece, and so the classic Omega from the 60s is 34 millimeters, or if you're lucky, Omega Genève 35 millimeters, but that's it. And if you see models from the 50s, then you have bigger watches to choose from. Very big watches. I mean, this classic Chronographe Swiss, I will talk a little bit about this model later, came with sometimes 38 millimeters, which is super big for this period of time and for vintage watches in general. And so great topic for you if you like your watches a little bit bigger. And you may notice, if you study dials from that period of time, you may notice that the design is, let's say, it's not so puristic. It's sometimes a little bit more flashy. I mean, look at this dial here, which is not an exact copy watch, but it's clearly inspired by some 50s watches. And there you can see there's something going on this watch. If you compare this to the classic, let's say, Omega Constellation, which I really love, I must say, but sometimes it's a little bit too pure. And by the way, you can see the transition very good if you compare Omega Constellations from the 50s and the 60s. There you can see this huge difference in design. But the problem is now that vintage watches from the 50s, it's a minefield. It's really a minefield. To illustrate this topic, I'd love to show my watchmaker builds. Oh, it's so crazy. It's just so crazy. But those are a few. Those are all watchmaker builds from my time as a vintage watch collector. It's beyond crazy, beyond crazy. I don't know why I keep them, to be frank. And so if you like the style of the watches, then you have to find modern watches which are inspired by vintage timepieces. And so I was instantly curious when I saw this watch or this manufacturer Vintro on a forum, and I instantly thought, that looks great. I want this on the channel. I want it in my hands, because images, right? Images. You can read something in images and then you have the reality in your hands and you see, oh no, this is completely different. This doesn't match the image, although it's the same watch. I mean, it's strange, but I think you know what I mean. And one of the dominant models, or the dominant technology, watch technology or coplification during the 50s was the chronograph. The people there back then were obsessed with chronographs. And you can see this in some watches like the classic Chronographe Swiss 18 karat gold. You can pick up on eBay rather cheap because they were produced in large quantities. In fact, the Chronographe Swiss gold watch with a Venus caliber inside, or Landeron, was some sort of a souvenir from Switzerland. They were meant, or they were designed not necessarily to wear, because the gold was super thin, very fragile watch, and you can see today wasted cases. No, they were produced as some sort of gift or a luxury souvenir. You travel to Switzerland, you're a businessman, you go back, and then at the airport you buy yourself a Chronographe Swiss, this fat golden watch, which followed the tradition and the technology of the real chronographs, but were rather meant to be as a souvenir. And should you buy today a Chronographe Swiss from the 50s? If you find one in steel, maybe. If you find one gold-plated, yes, why not? If you find one chrome-plated, yep. But if you find one in 18 karat gold, I don't know. I don't know if they are really wearable. I mean, if you want the piece for your collection as some sort of, case for a display or something like that, then yeah, maybe. And the funny thing is that the movements are rather robust. This Landeron and Venus movements rather robust compared to the cases of those models. Okay, this to the 50s. Now let's discuss a little bit more this watch, or this manufacturer, Vintro. The Vintro sounds pretty good. The first thing I really liked here was the logo, by the way, the logo and this big V. And Vintro stands for vintage and retro. Vintage and retro. I'm not sure if I find this so compelling, but the word Vintro is, yeah, pretty good. And they've launched this during a Kickstarter campaign. They collected money for their Kickstarter campaign, and they wanted to produce 500 pieces of this watch. And when you watch this video, by the way, then it will be online, this model. Right now it's not available. It's fun to wear a watch which isn't available at this time. And the brain behind this watch and this entire brand is Uli Backer. It's a German collector. He collects watches for more than 20 years. And I like this because this is a sign that he isn't the hunter for easy money, for quick money. This is the sign that there is some knowledge in this watch. And specifications and everything, I think I show you in the light box. Let's go in the light box. Yeah, let's examine the watch in detail right now. And I will spare nothing out. I will report about the downsides. There is a big downside. And about the pluses and the strength of the watch. Okay, here we have the box with the Vintro logo on it. Some sort of cardboard. This is not leather. Inside box, this is, let me smell this. Oh, this. I cannot believe it. I don't think this is real leather, but smells a little bit leatherish. And here you have the box, the inside of the box. The watch, let me show you this. The watch came with this on it. The watch really came with this golden thing, this golden monstrosity on it. And I thought, I don't want this monstrosity on the watch. And my girlfriend asked me, are you a pimp now or what? What is this? I mean, imagine this watch together with this bracelet. And by the way, I've asked them to send me the steel version, but they hadn't a steel version in their office. And so they sent me the golden version, which is perfectly fine. But, I mean, seriously? And here you have a NATO with golden elements on it. To be frank, I don't get the idea. NATO is extremely toolish. This in combination with gold? But maybe I'm a little bit too old-fashioned here. Could be, maybe. Then you have here spring bars, and then here is a very useful toy. I have to hold my camera here because my light box is too small for this operation here. This is to remove bracelets. Very useful. I've tried it because I instantly removed the golden monstrosity here and changed to this beautiful leather strap. And so, yeah, works. So, very, very cool package. Okay, here we are with our Vintro Le Mans 1952 chronograph. Le Mans was, by the way, a racing track, similar to Daytona. So this refers to the racing sports. And the basic specifications are 40 millimeters in case diameter. 48 is the lug distance and the lug width is 20. Thickness 15. And this is, for me personally, the first downside. The watch is too big. The watch is too big. Although historically it makes some sense. As I said, the 50s were a period with bigger watches, but not with 40. So I'd love to see this with 38 and a slightly thinner case. Slightly thinner case. You can see this is a massive case. And please note the form of the lugs and the case refers directly to those Chronograph Swiss models. Directly. It's not an exact copy, but the influence is very, very clear here. Okay, and now let's go over the details. First, the crystal is a sapphire, very convenient. I mean the originals were with plexiglass, but this sapphire is very convenient. And the dial colors, note please this golden tone together with the blue and the red, very classy, I must say, very classy, very close to the originals. On the left you have the sub-dial for the seconds. On the right there is a 30-minute counter for the chronograph. Chronograph itself, here is the the blue hand. This is not blued, I think this is varnished. I think in this price region they used rather varnished hands. The hands are very classy dolphin hands in gold. The gold matches the indices, and so the overall brilliant design. Really, really, really good design. And I like the logo. I like the look of the logo. Let's put this out of the way, and now we can see the logo a bit better. Yeah, very compelling piece. And also interesting here is that the watch comes with a tachymeter scale in blue and a telemeter or telemeter scale in red. And let's clarify what this is and how do you use this. Many people are not 100% sure, I think, how to use it, but it's very simple. First stands a signal, let's say a shot at the racing track, and with the shot you start your chronograph. And now you know exactly that one round is, let's say, 1,000 meters. And now you wait until the first car finishes the round. Let's say it finishes the round now. And now the tachymeter scale tells you the speed of the car. In this example, 220 miles per hour, so very, very fast. This is the idea behind this. The second scale, the telemeter scale, tells you something else. Let's assume you are a soldier in the field and you see a muzzle flash, and you hit the button. And now you wait until you hear the bang of the shot now. And now you can tell the distance between you and the shooter. In this case, 2 kilometers. Those scales came in variations. Sometimes you have here miles per hour or kilometers per hour. Sometimes the scale is for a 1,000 meter track, and sometimes a little different. Then you have to do a little math if your racing track doesn't match the scale here. But this is the basic idea behind it. Okay? And the chronograph, I mean, you have seen this. The chronograph is very standard, very basic. Very basic. Runs, stops, resets. Okay, so those are the elements. Oh, I love this design. This watch a little bit smaller and in steel. I love to see the steel version of this. Love this design. Okay, let's go over the movement. This is a second downside, by the way. You see this very often with gold-plated watches, that the caseback isn't gold-plated. And with this fat case from the side on the wrist, you see, okay, you cannot see it pretty good, but you know what I mean. There's a little distraction between the gold surface and the metal case. The movement is very interesting. The originals were hand-winding, rather hand-winding models from the 50s, but this is a modern automatic movement, and this is a seagull movement. A seagull movement. This is the Seagull ST1940, and this is a improved copy of the Venus 175. So we have again the story that a country buys old machinery from Switzerland, produces now movements which are not longer available in Switzerland, but now in China, or you can see it with Polyod, same thing, then in Russia. And those movements can be damn accurate. Damn accurate. One of my favorite watches today is the Seagull 1963, and believe it or not, my Seagull 63 runs as a chronometer. Although it's not certificated as a chronometer, it has no tolerance. It runs plus minus 0, and so you can regulate those things damn good. And it's not ugly, not an ugly movement. What do you think? What do you think? I mean, there's a little bit decoration on it. So I'm really happy with the look of this movement. The little downside of the movements are, this is the problem with most of the seagull movements. This feels okay. This hand winding feels okay. It's not hackable. The seconds are still going. And if you want to set the time, then you have a little tolerance here. If you see this, if you move the crown, then it takes some while. And now the hand is moving, but you can move the crown without seeing any movement of the hand. And this is, I don't know, this, I've said this before during a review, this for me is I don't know, this is not luxury. This is then a little bit, and it's not tooly as well. It feels like a little malfunction, although it is not. It's totally normal, this, totally normal. But I'd love to see this with a more precise connection between hand and crown, but okay, yeah, maybe I'm too picky here. This watch retails at roughly 600 euro or 630, 640 in that region, US dollars. And so this is a very affordable piece. And so, yeah, we cannot be overly picky. But now let's discuss something really, really good. I really love that strap. I really adore that strap. This is a really cool thing. First, it has this quick release spring bar. So you can take it and then here you are. Now you can change your strap. Then again, you put it in, you pull it down, and now, yeah, it's set. Look at this, so easy, so convenient. But what I really like here is, second, is the leather quality. This is really fat, substantial leather, very precise stitching, and this texture here, I think this will develop a beautiful patina. So, and it just feels right. You know what I mean? Sometimes you have those cheap straps without any substance, but this feels like a little belt. And yeah, I'm really happy with that strap. And so overall, very interesting watch, very beautiful watch with those little downsides. Again, sometimes I feel like some sort of size Taliban, and I don't want this. Many people like their watches bigger, and so I think this is perfectly fine. But really, I love to see this watch in 38. And maybe one day Vintro will produce that watch because YouTubers have complained so bad about the size. Okay, and now let's stop here. If you want, join me on Instagram, Caseback Tim. And now let me thank you very much for your attention and maybe until next time.